Hello there. Well, we have a really cool weapon to look at today. I finally got to see one of these in person. And this is basically known as an Apache Knuckleduster revolver. Now, that was not the name it was made under or sold as. First, though, let's assess what we're looking at. This is a combination weapon, right? It's a combination gun, and what's most unusual about it is that it's a three-part combo. Going from left to right, you've got basically a dagger, a gun, obviously, and a set of brass knuckles. And this was the innovation introduced when this was patented in 1869 by Louis Daulnay, a Frenchman. And the thing with combination weapons, I've mentioned this before, is they give you the ability to do multiple things, but they don't let you do any one of those things as well as a dedicated weapon does. So any decent knife would completely outperform this, any fighting knife in that regard. Any decent revolver is definitely going to outperform this one. This is an extremely short-range weapon, doesn't even have a barrel really. And any set of brass knuckles is going to be more durable and reliable than this. Nevertheless, you can use it to stab, shoot, and strike, all in one tiny package when it's all folded up. Easy to carry, easy to conceal. So this was a part of this 19th century craze almost of designing small, easy-to-carry pistols for self-defense. What happened in France, though, was that this weapon ended up appealing to the criminal much more than to the law-abiding citizen. First, though, let's deal with the mechanics some more. So you can see that the gun basically doesn't have a barrel, as I mentioned. The chamber is the barrel, really, so very short-range pistol for sure, but in a pinch, up close, it could absolutely be deadly, and it's going to, save you from having to engage in close quarters. It's really primarily a gun, even though it's meant for such close quarters combat. You have to unfold the handle, the brass knuckles, in order to use it as a gun, as you can tell, and you have to unfold the trigger, too. This is a folding trigger revolver, and you can see the screw there, even from this far away. You also have to rotate, the blade out. You have to flick it out. So there's a lot of little mechanisms and dials here, screws. You're fidgeting with this thing a lot. And that's a drawback. Not only does it take time, but that's a lot of moving parts, things that can break. You stab something with that blade. Who knows how strong that connection actually is. I'm not impressed, speaking of the blade, in terms of that. Now, could you fire the pistol with the blade already deployed? Yes, you could. And that way, if you run out of bullets, then you're ready to stab. It's going to make an awkward knife that way. The blade is going to work better when it's collapsed into kind of the knuckle mode. But, the gun is, but with the blade extended. Then it's projecting out from your closed fist, and it's going to be more secure. But you can hardly ask your opponent to stop a minute while you reconfigure this thing. So it's a cool design. It gives you a lot of different shapes and modes. It's like a transformer. But you're not going to get those chances in combat. It's not the most practical design of all time. Now here you can see the trigger, for instance, is not ready for firing, right? So you're twisting and turning and adjusting things, but noticing the chamber there, it's longer than I think what you might be used to, and me as well. And again, that's because that basically is the barrel. So speaking of modes, now I've got it here, and I've got it kind of secured in place. It's not going to do me much good if it, kind of flops open or whatnot if I open my hand. So you can turn it into a set of brass knuckles and kind of secure the rest of the gun in place, which, by the way, serves a dual purpose, maybe not by design, but this is going to create a heck of a fist load to add impetus to that brass knuckle strike. So that is one unique selling point. The blade on this one was not sharp, and I've seen other videos online where the blade wasn't sharpened as well, only the point, and that would make sense because you don't want to slice up your hand while it's on the inside, so again, it's not that great of a knife. Now, here's a great look because the entire surprise is on the inside, right? Those three knobs that exist in the spaces between the four finger holes seem pretty consistent, like every picture you see online of an Apache Knuckleduster has those. And it's time to talk about the Apaches, because we've left them out so far, and that's kind of the coolest part about this. So here's what an Apache might have looked like, and it's interesting that this weapon would appeal to them, but not surprising, because it is a very wicked, stylish, cool-looking weapon. Our man here is not holding one, but I want to give you an idea in color of what an Apache would look like, because they were known for their outlandish costumes. These were Parisian street gangs of the late 19th century and early 20th, and they were infamous. France was equally fascinated and repelled by them at the same time. So they were known as much for their style and lust for life as they were for the very real violence that they visited upon the populace. And they would hang out in cafes and dance halls, including the Moulin Rouge. They then became the reason this weapon is called the Apache Knuckleduster to this day. And the story goes is that they were called Apaches because they were so vicious and they were being compared to Apaches, the stereotype of Apaches over in the United States. Supposedly one of their leaders heard about that comparison and really liked it, and then, kind of encouraged the name. The weapon itself probably would have been pretty forgettable if not for them. And let's get one final view here. Strange weapon. A little side note, you actually would, it's a 6-shooter, but you would walk around with only 5 bullets in it if you were smart, because it doesn't have a safety, and if there's a bullet in the appropriate chamber, like under the hammer, then you could accidentally shoot yourself. The other thing is it's not as quick to reload as you might think. You actually have to remove the chamber from the gun, so basically disassemble it to get the shells out so you can then reload. So like a lot of the small vest-type, Derringer-type pistols of the day, you fired the shots that it had, and then you were pretty much out of luck. Hence the allure of giving it, impact weapon and slashing, piercing weapon capabilities. It's a curious piece of kind of French organized crime history, as much as it is a, interesting transitional piece of firearm history. And there it is. Thanks.